Find the slope of a line that goes through points 3 and 1 and 3 and negative 2. Okay, so the second way to find slope, this is when you do not have a graph, is to use a formula. In math, the word slope, somebody asked me if slope has a shortcut. Jackson, was that you?
Yeah.
It's M. I don't know why. S was already used for something else. And to find it, the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Those are the points. Okay, we're gonna find the x and the y based on the points. So our points were 3 and 1 and 3 and negative 2, and I'm gonna keep them in the order they were given to me. So the first point was 3, 1. So that's my x1 and my y1. So then my second point, 3 and negative 2, becomes my x2 and my y2. And then I'm going to plug in my numbers and solve. So a lot of times people don't do this step as they get more comfortable. They don't do this. And numbers end up in the wrong place. So I encourage you, especially today, to label what you're using. So when I plug it in, m equals, and on the top my y2 is negative 2, and my y1 is 1, and it's a minus. The formula only has subtraction in it, right? Because we're supposed to be finding the change in these. And then my x2 is 3, and my x1 is 3. What's going to happen?
Do you always start with the 2 on the first?
On both of them, you're always going to start with the 2, the second number, the second coordinate first. When I subtract a negative and a negative, if you borrow $2 and you borrow another, how much do you owe?
$3.
Right? So these, when the signs are the same, we add them. So we had a negative 2 and a negative 1. So we have negative 3. And what's going to happen on the bottom? 0. We get 0. Do you know what happens when we have a 0 on the bottom in slope? Nope. That means it's undefined. The slope is undefined. We can't have a 0 in our answer. And it's going to happen, and that doesn't mean you did it wrong. That means the slope is undefined.
You can't write anything?
You're just going to write undefined. UN. Okay? Let's do one that works. Okay, let's do one that works. Here's an example. Same directions. We're not going to rewrite the whole sentence again. But now our points are 0, 3, and 6, 1. So again, leave them in the order they were given. The first one was 0, 3, so that's going to be x1, y1. So then the second one, 6, 1, is x2, y2. Okay, help me build my formula. So it's always, right, in every coordinate plane, it's always the x number first and the y number first. Right? X first and then y, when we want to plot anything.
And then you just pick X1 and Y1.
And so now we're just putting a 1 here for the first set, and then we're putting a 2 for the second set. So that's where those come from. So Dane, help me build my formula. What's going to go on the top?
3 and 1, 3 and 1.
So if I go to the formula,
Oh, 1, 3.
I need y2. Which one's y2?
Oh, 1.
Minus y1.
Minus 3.
Minus 3. And then on the bottom, I'm supposed to have x2. So Kaya, help me build the bottom. 6 minus, and then I'm supposed to have x1. Do you guys see how these numbers get confusing?
Why do you start with
So you're always going to start with the second first. It's backwards. Okay, you're always going to start with the second. And maybe you should cross them off, right? So maybe as I do y2, I just cross that one out so I don't use it again. Minus y1. Cross out the 3 so I don't use it again. That shows me next I should have 6 and 0. Because we have to keep track. If they're not in the right spot, we're not going to get the right answer. Okay. 1 minus 3, negative 2. 6 minus 0, 6. Is negative 2, 6 a good slope answer?
No.
Why? It can be reduced, right? 2 goes into both these numbers, so I should get negative 1/3 as my final slope. Yes?
Why do you have to put the second one first?
Because we're finding the change. We're finding the change. If I want to know the difference between your age and mine has to go first because I'm older, right? The order matters. Otherwise, we'd get a negative number, and we're not negative ages. Does that make sense? So this is similar. You have to put the second one first. It's just the order. It's the only way that this works. Okay? All right, let's do another one. Okay. This time, we have 2, 2.
Can you move the paper?
Yes, thank you for telling me. 2, 2, and 6, 1. 6 and negative 1, excuse me. Okay, so our formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label them. My first point is the x1 and the y1 because it's the first point. My second is x, y, 2's because that is the second point. When I plot them, the points from the second go first. Okay, so I have m equals, somebody help me build my equation. Grace?
M equals negative 1 minus 2.
So I've used y1 and y2 in the right order. Dane? On the bottom, x2 minus x1.
6 minus 4. Or 6 minus 3.
Okay? Now I can solve. I have the same thing, negative 1 and a negative 2 more. These signs are the same, so I add them. Negative 3. When the signs are the same, right? I add. On the bottom, I have 6 minus 2, which cannot be simplified or reduced. Are you guys ready to try one like this? I'm nervous about your numbers, so please be really careful how you build it. On your whiteboards if you have it, and if you don't, you can put them in your notes. What, Sheldon?